Well, thank you so much for speaking to Good Times Team Guilty. But let me start on a lighter note. When I say guilty, one thing that comes to mind that you're guilty of.
I just had a full chocolate cake upstairs.
Did you call me?
You really should have.
But that was
my
healthy treats,
team
no?
got it suddenly and then they
Which
were
is
like,
really not healthy.
because they saw the film yesterday and then they cut it and then actually, to be honest, they finished half it. So before I could even say, like, let's give, I can't pass you all the crumbs in tiny pieces.
You can. We'd eat
We'll get
them.
another one. We'll have our own party.
You know, I swear so many people have asked this question and every time I'm like, I'm going to come up with something so witty, I just can't think.
Yeah,
I just can't. We are always blank. What are we guilty of?
I'm guilty of very serious things. First I eat a lot of
She's on
sugar.
the lighter side.
On lighter side, no. I also eat a lot of sugar.
Sugar-free chocolate.
I think that's
No, I'm eating sugar because I've also been told not to eat sugar and I don't know how to stop sugar. My abba ki mithai ki dukaan hai.
But our daily guest is all related to chocolate.
Plug-in kya hai yaar usko?
What about you?
I think I'm guilty of sleeping very late last night and being completely
Zoned
out right now.
But you were celebrating, and there are great reviews coming in from those who have seen the film. We've, of course, only seen 20 minutes. Yes. But what I really liked was the two fiery female characters. Usually you have men who take on men. Here you have two girls taking on each other. So, Kiara, we last saw you playing a very submissive Preeti. Here is the rebellious Nanki.
Yeah.
So what was that like, getting into the zone of this character vis-a-vis to the one character that everybody's been talking about?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, they were both equally challenging. But Nanki, I mean, it was much more complex, very difficult, not just physically. Yes, physically she has a certain, you know, look to her that was again new for me to kind of get into. But I think the interior part of it, the fragility, the, you know, to kind of, for someone who on one end is thinks rather that she's this badass, rebellious girl, and she is rebellious because she's actually fighting a lot of inner things that are happening. So I'm kind of, you know, exploring that with this character and with a subject like this, when you don't know the truth, you're fighting between both the truths that you've heard and figuring your own truth in there. There's a lot going on. So yeah, I think it was liberating when you come out of one character and then get into another, and now I feel like I was telling them earlier, I'm a split personality. I'm
And you, it's your debut.
Yeah.
And you've chosen an interesting character.
Yeah.
She plays a small town girl, not the stereotypical one. She is not apologetic about what she wants. Could be anything, whether it's physical desire, her own emotional desire. So what was that like for you?
I love that you pointed out these things and not the other things about like, which people ordinarily would have pointed out about her. I think it was great, and I've said this in every interview and I'll say it again. She taught me a thing or two about, I mean, I've grown up as most girls are very, very overly conscious about themselves, about the way they look, about what they wear, which I was even on set, and Ruchi was always like, but you are not Akansha, you are Tannu, so I don't care. I said, but Ruchi, but this. She's saying, but I don't care. But like over time, by the end I was like, so I would always, in fact, between cuts, wear a jacket on top and this and that. By the end I was like, what? You know, because why? Tannu doesn't care. Why do I need to? And to actually believe that person, I mean, to do those things, you need to believe her, right? Yeah. So if I believed in Tannu and Tannu could do it, why couldn't I? So yeah, I think it was a great character to start with, a very high point, like kind of character to begin with in life. Like taught me a lot of things.
And Ruchi, it's interesting, before I come to the men here, it's interesting that you chose to narrate this particular story about campus and also topics that we are dealing with. It's extremely timely because today that whole Me Too movement stands vindicated also. So what was the idea that you chose to base this story in a campus where also over the last 2 years the dynamics, gender dynamics have changed big time?
Well, actually the change is one of the reasons that I felt a story like this needs to be told. Because we live in times where a generation of women have grown up or been brought up by their parents and, you know, the people around, telling them they can do anything, they should go for their dreams, so to break the mold. But the rest of society didn't get that memo.
Yeah.
So what has happened is there's a generation that's grown up, going up, and suddenly they've hit this big wall. And there's so much pushing going on, and what happens in that is that there are casualties on all sides.
Yeah.
So I feel we are at that stage now, where in that, churning. And that's why I felt it's important to not talk about just big things which now everyone knows about, the black and white things or the right and wrong things, but the intricacies of it, the things which seem a little gray, there is a fine line to everything, but nobody is sure where that fine line is.
Which is true.
So that is what I wanted to explore with the film. I mean, it's not like women are on one side and men are on one side. We are all part of the same society. We are all part of the same families, friend circles. We are all one. So if we don't see things from each other's perspective, things are not going to turn out very well.
Which is true.
So that's why I felt this is imperative. And of course, basing it in college was because that's where young adults start forming their own opinions and ideas.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to put it there. And also the fact that though it's a serious subject, I didn't want it to become a story which is bogging you down.
Yeah.
I wanted the fun and the lightness. Like when you're in college, you are only interested in making plans to see a movie or go out, go party, do these things. But in the middle of this, something serious happens. Then how do you deal with it? So in between, someone still wants to go for band practice. This is reality. And unless we talk about it and discuss it and explore it, things will not improve.
Which is true. And also globally, Me Too has happened. And also you are young people, I'm sure you've read about it, but also there is a thin line between consent, also accusing someone for something, and there is also one little minority which may not adhere to majority has gone through. So what was your biggest takeaway from doing this film and also from this whole global phenomena that has unfolded in front of us?
I feel like at least for the film, what we hope to achieve is to get people to think and to want to think twice. I think in a previous interview, someone said, "Oh, you just don't know who is guilty." I feel the contrary, because from the start, everyone's decided who they think is guilty, because there's such an underlying tone of judgment that's so prevalent, which we don't even know when we're judging. It's so inherent in us, and that's what is in the film throughout. And Ruchi has written it in such a way that everybody from the word go is judging and has already decided, but they don't realize till the very end or in the middle or wherever that, oh, okay, maybe I did it too soon, So I think what we're hoping to achieve is just for some people to go home and say, maybe we do this too soon and we should look beyond the surface.
Yeah, similarly, also the idea of Me Too or any other subject that we are speaking in this film is a part of it. Like Ruchi very correctly said, that these are serious subjects which he's kind of entwined into the story, and the story to me is really exciting because it's a who done it, why done it, right? So and to me it is really, really fascinating because I play a lawyer in it. I'm an investigative lawyer. I always wanted to be one, and it's really exciting because in my real life I'm really, really talkative and jovial and everything. But Danish, the guy I play in the film, he's very serious. Serious in the sense that he's very proper, very organized, speaks only 100 words a day. So it was very exciting to me on that end, but again it was very intense because ultimately, because of all the subjects that we're dealing in, it is extremely intense and complex because all the characters in the film are very, very complex. So Nanki has these tremendous amount of layers to her, Vijay and Tanu's character. So my characters are constantly looking at their truths, right? And then using his morality, like she was saying, right? We're constantly judging people. So when we look at each other, when we talk to each other, we are judging, we're coming to conclusions.
You always are, yeah.
Yeah, and for a lawyer, and I realize how difficult it must be for a lawyer because he needs to fight his morality with what the truth is or could be, or the law for that matter. So along the course, like she was saying, in the middle or in the end, however, you realize that even all of us, like the film's called Guilty, and we're all guilty of something. Just because you're a lawyer or you're somebody who you think you're on a good side, bad side, doesn't matter. We all could be guilty of something. So to me, that really fascinated, and all these things, whether it is Me Too or rights of women or men for that matter. I think they all come into play, which is why I think kudos to Ruchi and the writers, because they're fantastic, and it's such an honor to be a part of this. And yeah, the overall fun is also about the band and about it being in college. It's so much fun, and I always used to look forward to like coming and seeing them, and sometimes wondering, yaar, double roll कर दो, मैं उधर junior artist बन के उधर मैं बजा दूँगा कुछ. So overall, so it is a who done it, why done it. There are very serious issues that we speak of, but overall, I hope the ultimate thing is let's hope people take something back home, and let's hope we can bring about some change.
So what about you, who's the accused and the girl who is like on that case? Why don't you give your...
I think, yeah, it's always complex when you're tackling such an issue, because Me Too, there's now Men Too, rape, all these things are happening and they keep happening. It's been happening since centuries now. At least now people are more aware of it, and we're talking about it, and I think that's a start. But at the same time, it's also about that even though such a serious thing happens, life goes on. Like these kids in college, he's still in a relationship with Nanki. They're still singing songs. She's still writing it while she's going through her trauma of figuring out if her boyfriend is actually guilty or not. And similarly with me, like it was not a linear. Even the screenplay is not linear at all. So I think to shoot it, going back and forth, to keep up with like what's happened before this scene. What is my mind space, what is her mind space, what has she done now, and what has she said now. And so yeah, it gets very complex, but at the same time it's fun. I mean, it's you try to get to the psyche of such complex characters, because at the end of the day we're all complex. I think we all go through the same problems. Hopefully not so intense, but I hope that changes. But yeah, and I think the main goal is for the audience to watch it and hopefully take something back home, and think about things that they might be guilty of, and hopefully they won't be guilty of in the future.
And Kiara, we're all saying this to you because we've all just watched the film and everyone's taken away something. I'm sure, and each of them, I'm sure, will agree with me that when we all were offered these parts and when we heard the script, it was just so engaging. Yes, it was relevant to each of us because it is happening. Like you say, it is relevant where each one can identify. We're all in the same age bracket as the characters we play. And as a film, it's interesting, it's an engaging watch, it's a compelling watch. But when you watch the film, and I'm saying this because we performed, we've shot, we've done workshops, all of that. And yes, there are things we took away, apart from playing these parts. But when you watch the film as a film, and I'm saying this because yesterday I watched the film without seeing maine kya kiya hai, have I done it right, should I have changed this and that. But when I just watched it, it's yes, so relevant, but there's so many other things I took away from it. Because there's nothing that's said to you directly. It's all just out there for you to kind of take your own interpretation, it's your perception, it's your judgment of yourself sometimes. I've been in that situation, or I've judged someone else, or I've also thought that, I've also been as complex or conflicted, or you know what, I didn't have the guts to stand up at that time. And all these things kind of come into play. So I feel, I love the approach that Ruchi's taken and the way the narrative goes. And when Me Too came, I'm sure it gave a lot of people that confidence and support that I'm not alone in this. And then there's so many other things that happen in life which kind of diluted it. And maybe none of us came with this intention of we want to, start a movement and start a conversation again. But I think after watching the film, we all feel that maybe that's going to happen because the first thing we did coming out was talk about certain things that we started feeling after the film.
I promise you, there were people who just cried and they're like, oh, it just disturbed me in a way that it just opened my eyes to some things. I don't think we...
It is a very cathartic
I don't think we thought of that outcome at all. We thought, oh, maybe men and women will argue. I don't know. We came up with everything, but we didn't think people would like literally have to introspect about
that's what movies should do. And also, Kiara, I wanted to ask you, your character Preeti was discussed by everybody. Why did she choose to play a character? At the end, you're an actor who's depicting a character. There are the people like that who live. Do you think sometimes you get very skeptical, not to accept the reality, but pass judgments, and then it's the actor who comes under scrutiny?
So when the discussion and debate happened, I think at that time, for me, to be really honest, I was expecting a fair amount of that conversation to take place, not to the extent that it did. And while I honestly respect everyone's opinion, and I'm glad that it did start a conversation, since I had watched the original, and for me as an actor, I could not judge Preeti as a character. Also, for me, I understood her life, where she's coming from. This is her world. This is what, I cannot deny the fact that girls like her exist. While today the climate is such that we want to empower women, but that doesn't mean that someone who's silent is not strong. That doesn't mean that somebody, that just by standing out and voicing your opinion is the only way of showing empowerment. Yeah. So it didn't dilute my perspective on the character that I played. So I will always stand by it, and of course the memes won't leave me, and now it's become like Preeti has become Kabir Singh in this movie, and there's all of this which is very entertaining and very flattering, because
so am I the Preeti who
really
gets the slap?
Didn't know. You're my Preeti, I'm so sorry. But I feel there's some characters which just stay with you and are iconic, and I didn't realize that movie gave
Preeti will never leave you.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm really happy as well, and I hope that I get that much love and appreciation for a character like Nanki, and she gets that kind.
And two movies, one where everyone said it wasn't okay, and another movie that says it's not okay either in a positive way. So they're asking me to wrap up. So before I wrap up, I read your Insta handle that says sometimes acts in films and sometimes dyes her hair. But here she's the one who's been dyeing her hair in the film.
The film, no, Akansha dyes her hair. To be fair, Tanu's hair is golden as well.
Anyways, thank you so much. You've got an amazing platform. It's the first movie from Dharmatic. You're young actors. Do you feel a platform like this gives you all a larger canvas to showcase your talent?
Sure. It's an honor,
yeah, there are possibilities of people thousands and miles across the world watching and actually relating and saying, shit, this happens in my college, so.
Yeah.
Exciting times?
Totally.
Good times.
The best.
It's a dream come true, It's like a...
Okay, thank you so much. I'm wrapping up. So one guilty pleasure before we go. If you could tell us what's your guilty pleasure. I'm sure something would come to mind.
I said this yesterday, so I'm going to say it again. I spend too much money on makeup.
Okay, most welcome.
I just eat too much.
सबका खाना क्यों है?
It's a problem right now.
Sleeping a lot.
Oh. What about you?
Two bad things: shopping and then cheating on chocolate.
I relate to your sweet sister. What about you, director?
I'm very guilty when I binge watch when I should be sleeping. I have an early morning, but you just like
one more episode.
And then in the next day you're just like dead.
I do that too, and let's blame Netflix for that. Makes us binge watch all the time.
Please binge watch Guilty.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, and all the very best. And it's Women's Day to women.
Yay.
What do women want?
Yeah.
Everything. And to you. The world. We want every day to be Women's Day.
Thank you so much. All the very best.
Thank you.